Offset printing is one of the most widely used printing methods in use today. Offset printing is used for magazines, brochures, catalogues, and other promotional materials. One thing it's important to remember, although startup costs in offset printing can be costly, because the metal plates for each colour need to be created, economies of scale can apply. Offset printing becomes cost-effective with volumes in excess of 1,000 sheets of one layout. What a lot of designers don't know is that there are two different types of offset printing: web-fed and sheet-fed. We're here at PMP Printers in Sydney to have a look at the different types of printing equipment and talk to Simon Edwards and Ben Green, who work here. So what is the difference between a web-fed printer and a sheet-fed printer?
Fundamental difference is that sheet-fed is pre-cut, whereas web is a continuous feed of paper into the machine.
Is there a difference in the type of print jobs they can do?
Sheet-fed for higher quality work, and a web press is for longer run work.
Web offset printing uses huge rolls of paper. Web-fed printing technologies are enormous and require large premises and machinery that can carry large loads. So how do you move the rolls of paper around?
We use an attachment on a standard fork truck to get it from the paper store to the reel stand, and then from there we have mechanical aids to feed it into the press.
What safety issues do you have to consider?
One of the largest safety issues is the fork truck interaction with humans. So obviously we try and separate pedestrians from fork trucks and have high risk areas where we can't do that.
How big are they? How much paper do they hold?
Depending on the press and the job, our reels can be up to 2,500 kilos. In our paper store we can have up to 21,000 tonnes of paper, which could be 3 months' supply for this site.
What types of paper can you use in a web-fed printer? And is there anything special about the type of paper you can use?
Web presses, you're limited with how heavy or how thick the stock can be. So typically lower grammage stocks or lower weight stocks for web presses up to about 130 gram.
Can you take us through the process of how something is printed using a web-fed printer?
As the name states, it's a web-fed, it's a continuous roll of paper fed into the printing units, which is 4 in our site, and then it's dried through an oven, and then it is slit and formed into a signature, which is delivered at the post-press end of the press.
Sheet-fed printers are different to web-fed printers. In sheet-fed printers, the paper has already been cut prior to going into the offset machinery.
So the sheets are fed in here in stacks, delivered into the press. As you can see as you go along, have a number of units. Each colour is applied separately. You can buy PMS colours, or you can even put varnishes and coatings on in the process. And then it comes down to the end here where it's stacked again for further processing.
What are the limitations and advantages of using a sheet-fed printer?
Limitations are often the speed and also the run lengths. It becomes sort of uneconomical to run long runs on a sheet-fed press. So generally, you'll start to consider web when you start to talk about 5,000 print runs, and then anything above you would start to consider the web press.
Is there a difference in the type of paper that can be used?
Limitations for web presses is at 130 GSM. Above that would be sort of start to look at the sheet fed for an option.
And now for the most important question. What do designers need to know about the differences between the sheet-fed printer and the web-fed printer? And how does this affect things?
From a design perspective, it's important to think about the paper that you're printing on and the type of press. So for a sheet-fed press, you want to be looking at colour profiles suited for sheet-fed printing. If you're producing it on a web press, you need to be looking at it from a different perspective, using different colour profiles, different proofing that represents how the product will look as a finished piece.
So the different types of print technology lend themselves to different sized jobs and those requiring different types of paper. It's important for graphic designers to know which printers are suited to the type of job they've been asked to do. This not only has cost implications, but it also determines the types of substrates you can use.